Finn's mother fumbled around with the serving plates, as nervous as could be. Her son had never brought a girl home for dinner before, and she was quite beside herself. She served meatloaf, with green beans and bacon, salad, and cornbread, only to discover that Amanda was a vegetarian. Finn's father was quieter than usual. About halfway through the meal, he asked Amanda to pass the salt.
Amanda and Finn are going to chat online together after dinner.
Is that right?
I don't see why you have to go online to talk. Why can't you just talk if you want to talk?
We don't own a computer or a TV.
Mr. Whitman looked up from his plate, possibly for the first time.
Well, good for you. Nothing wrong with that. Finn spends way too much time on his as far as I'm concerned.
Donald!
I'm just trying to make conversation.
Hey, Dad. You know that hurricane? I forgot its name. The one that turned out in the ocean and came back ashore?
Gary.
Yeah, Gary. Is it true that it lost a lot of its power after it went over us?
Over half its wind speed, yes. Downgraded to a tropical storm. But I think that's pretty typical when a storm passes over land. Why?
Oh, nothing. Never mind.
He glanced at Amanda. She nodded towards her watch.
We're gonna go up now.
His parents looked at each other, but said nothing. On their way up the stairs, Finn heard his father say,
If those parts of her get any lower, they'll fall off.
They all wear them that way, dear. She's adorable.
She lowered her voice to a whisper, but Finn had stopped on the stairs in time to hear,
Nothing wrong with him having a new friend. He can't spend all his time with Dillard. Leave the bedroom door open, please, Finn.
I will.
He gave Amanda his chair in front of the screen. He sat on a wooden chest that he dragged from the closet. It contained an old model train set.
5 minutes to 7. What's with the color of those couches?
What? I like them.
Trust me, you're colorblind.
Finn's character was an illustrated boy who wore brightly colored jams and a light blue t-shirt. Finn used the mouse to move his character across the screen, get a soda from the machine, and return to one of the two chairs. The small figure sat down and waited, occasionally raising his arm under Finn's direction to lift the can to his face.
This is wild.
Have you never seen VMK? Everyone at school's on here 24/7.
A few minutes after 7, a second figure, a girl, appeared in the room. She wore hip huggers and a lemon yellow top that showed her stomach. A dialogue bubble appeared above her. Angel Face 13, it read.
Cool room.
Thanks. Grab a soda.
Got any tunes?
Yeah, but we're going to chat. Let's hang. Others coming soon.
It's Charlene. I can tell by the way she dresses.
Yeah.
The girl character brought herself a drink and took a seat on the couch near Finn. Willa and Philby's characters appeared almost instantly. Philby with red hair, Willa dressed like a hippie. They too got drinks and gathered by the others, both standing. Philby complimented Finn on his choice of posters, clearly impressed that Finn has earned enough creds to purchase them. Willa chatted with Charlene about some of the new clothes she found in one of the merchandise stores.
This feels like a really weird thing to say, but I feel like I'm in the room, not just watching.
I know. It's highly addictive. I'd make you a character, but for now I'm not sure the others should know you're listening.
No, I agree. I don't want them to know. I don't want to be seen as a problem.
You're not a problem. Far from it. Without you, this meeting wouldn't have happened.
Dill Toast showed up in the room.
What's up?
That's my friend, Dillard.
We met.
Finn's character stood and let Dillard's into the far corner of the room to talk to him.
You have to be near each other to talk. It's called proximity for obvious reasons. Dill and I can talk over here, and the others won't see it, and...
His explanation was made clear as Charlene and Willa continued talking, presumably about clothes, but the dialogue in their bubble was replaced with exclamation points, dollar signs, and ampersands, unreadable gibberish. Finn tried politely to ask Dillard to go away. Dillard didn't get the idea at first, and Finn was forced to get a little blunt once Maybeck arrived.
That didn't go so hot.
Tell him about it tomorrow, in person. If you make it into something secret that you're sharing, he won't even remember this.
Finn thought about this. She was good with people. For one thing, she survived his dad at the dinner table. Maybeck passed on the offer of a drink. He'd given his character a sizable afro, blue jeans, and a white t-shirt. Somehow, it made him look taller than the others, which he was in person as well.
Okay, we're all here.
Each of the others said hello. Then Finn continued.
We've all basically had the same dream, or we wouldn't be here. Maybeck and I both felt kind of sick, like fainting earlier today. Anybody else?
The dialogue bubble above Willa's character started talking.
Yes, I felt awful, but only for a few minutes.
Me too.
Yup.
So, what's up with that?
They aren't dreams. Charlene and Philby and I were all in the park last night. I got burned on the arm. When I woke up, I had the same burn on the same arm. It's for real. It wasn't a dream.
Maybeck's character moved around the room, but stayed close enough to chat. Willa got up off the couch and moved over next to Charlene. No writing appeared above any of the characters.
I think you freaked them out.
What was I supposed to do?
I saw him get burned. It's for real.
What's weird is that over there we look like our DHIs, but Finn getting burned means that we must be part...
Human. Part DHI, part human. That's what Wayne, the old guy, said we were.
Does anyone hear how completely stupid this sounds?
We all got sick at basically the same moment. That may sound stupid, but it felt awful.
So, what do we do?
Now, Finn. You've got to tell them now.
If we all go to bed, to sleep, at around the same time tonight, maybe we'll all arrive there together.
Tell me you're kidding.
That's the way it works, I'm sure of it. Wayne wants us all there at the same time.
Finn felt a rush of heat. All 5 of them had crossed over at various times. They all shared the same experience. His fingers hovered above the keyboard.
The only way we're gonna know what's up is to go to bed at the same time and hope we wake up there together. Tonight, okay?
I'll be there.
I've been having trouble falling asleep, but I'll try.
I'm there.
Word.
Finn's character stood up from the couch. He went to the corner and dropped the can into an open box, his makeshift trash can. Charlene followed his lead and did the same.
We all play VMK, right? Well, what if that's got something to do with it?
He had a point, Finn thought. The game had an otherworldly quality.
We've got to talk to Wayne. How about 9 o'clock tonight?
Each of the characters agreed to the time, a text bubble appearing above their heads. Then one by one, they checked out. Finn's character stood alone in the empty room.
You look kinda lonely, just standing there.
I think I'm afraid.
He couldn't believe he said that out loud.
I bet they are too. Remember that fear is a human emotion. A DHI wouldn't feel fear.
The way she said it, so calm, and like she knew what she was talking about, really knew, gave Finn this strange, tingling feeling. He thought how strange it was that Amanda had just showed up the way she did, became his friend right as he began crossing over. How could he ask for a better friend? And yet, was there something she wasn't telling him? He caught a look in her eye as if she said too much and now regretted it. She looked away, breaking their eye contact.
Finn?
It was his mother calling from downstairs. It disturbed the moment. Finn didn't ask Amanda anything, but he wanted to. He checked the time. It was gonna be 8 o'clock.
I can drive Amanda home now.
I wish I could go.
Yeah, that would be cool.
He caught himself using that word again. She teased him about it earlier, but not now.
It'll be all right. Remember everything, so you can tell me.
He walked her downstairs to the door, where his mother was waiting with a smile. The 3 of them walked out to the driveway. Finn took the back seat. Amanda and his mom talked about boring girl stuff, favorite shopping malls, and places to get your hair cut. She lived on the far edge of their school district, in what had been a small church. There was a stained glass window in the center of the roof's peak, a blue background with a white angel. Lit from inside, it looked like as if an angel was flying. He did not know why, but it seemed appropriate for Amanda. Finn hurried his mother to drive faster on their way back home. She looked at him funny when he told her he was going to be late for bed. It was like something from Star Trek or Power Rangers, Finn thought. He was standing at Central Plaza, a circle of grass and sidewalks in front of the castle. Over the next several minutes, one by one, the other 4 DHIs appeared. Charlene first, lying on the grass to his left, wearing a nightgown. She stretched her arms as if waking up. Philby was next. His red hair was electric as a DHI. He came hurrying in from Tomorrowland. Willa showed up on the road to Finn's right. She also wore pajamas, shorts, and a matching t-shirt. Maybeck came walking up Main Street alongside Wayne, who drove a Disney golf cart.
Well, the gang's all here.
He climbed out of the cart and made a point of saying hello to Willa, whom he only met once before. A loud crash came from Tomorrowland. Cheering followed this.
Something wild is going on over there.
Follow me, and not a word until I say.
They followed Wayne and his cart up the ramp that led into the enormous castle. Finn noted that DHIs glowed and shimmered once inside the shadow of the castle arches.
Memorize all this carefully.
Wayne called back to the DHIs. He led them through a gift shop and into a storage room, then unlocked a heavy medieval-style door that he unlocked with a large key, and down a nondescript hall, through another door, and into a vast cavernous space. Finn stopped. Staircases led in every direction, interconnecting in impossible ways, some upside down. A variety of oddly shaped doors of all sizes faced him at every level. Each corridor and staircase connected to the next in the most unlikely and possible ways, all interlocked. It was a giant puzzle that somehow all fit together, and yet it made no sense. Inverted stairs?
We call this Escher's Keep. Walt admired M.C. Escher's work.
Who's Escher?
Do your homework. The keep was built as part of an Alice in Wonderland attraction, but it never opened.
Why not?
Walt decided to keep it for himself.
Finn reached the top of some steep stairs, out of breath. He continued down a darkened hall and looked up to see Wayne standing upside down on a landing a few yards ahead.
Don't be fooled. You're fine. But a single misstep and you'll end up in a slide that will dump you into the moat. So stay to the left, and only step on the blue tiles. Never the white or the red. Pass it along to the others.
Finn repeated the weird instructions in a whisper. A moment later, he stood with Wayne. To the others now arriving, both Wayne and Finn appeared to be standing upside down.
Okay, this way is cool.
This is a good place to come if you're ever in trouble or trying to hide. Without a guide to show you the way, no one makes it up the first time. Memorize it carefully. The castle has secret entrances. I will show you if we have time. Once in here, you're safe.
It isn't safe. Finn remembered Charlene saying he wasn't sure if he wanted to go any further.
The other place you should be safe is if you follow the tracks out of Frontierland train station toward the Indian encampment. There are some TPs out there that aren't programmed for DHI projection.
Safe from what?
Ah, here come the others. Follow me, memorize. The next 2 staircases are fakes.
Finn was stunned by how incredibly real each of the many staircases appeared. The first staircase turned out to be nothing more but paint on the wall. Wayne led him to the real staircase and together they climbed it. Finn looked back, carefully committing the route to memory.
If I'm half hologram, half human, as you say, how can I touch anything? Shouldn't I only half touch it?
Have you ever studied Einstein, Finn?
Finn didn't want to sound dumb, so he didn't answer.
It's time you did. There are more spaces between atoms than there are atoms, and yet atoms hold together somehow and form what we think of as a solid. We can touch, smell, taste. It all comes down to what you believe, what you think you can do.
The only thing that Finn knew about Einstein had to do with bagels. He stuck to more practical matters.
How will we ever get back down?
As he reached yet another landing, Finn realized Wayne was nowhere to be seen.
Take the middle door.
Finn faced half of a hexagon, 3 doors at all angles. He walked through the middle door, which sprang shut behind him. He now stood in a pitch-black space. Being part hologram, Finn glowed, casting a bluish light into the absolute blackness. Charlene came in next. Even when the door opened, Finn saw no walls, only black.
I don't exactly love this.
The way her voice sounded, so close and bright, told Finn that they were in a very small room.
Look up.
Are those stars for real?
Is anything real here?
The door opened. Philby, Willa, and Maybeck entered. As the door shut, the stars reappeared.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's this about?
Move to the center, everyone.
Finn jumped. He'd been standing there all along. The kids crowded into a group. Finn felt the old man's hand grab his wrist and pull him toward what turned out to be a wall.
Feel this?
Yes.
It was a smooth, glassy button.
And this?
Yes.
Push.
Finn pushed. The floor vibrated and the stars grew closer. It took a moment, but Willa understood before the others.
It's an elevator.
An elevator without walls.
It wasn't the floor that appeared to be moving, but the walls.
It's an elevator. Floor? A platform.
The overhead constellations grew closer. As they reached the Big Dipper, Finn could imagine it as a cleverly shaped door.
You gotta love this.
I don't have to.
The floor stopped. Finn heard a click. He pushed against the wall, the Big Dipper, and it opened. They entered a small apartment, full of old furniture in pastel colors, like something from Finn's grandparents' house. A small drafting table occupied the far corner. Most of one wall was filled with books. A tiny galley kitchen was next to the room's only window. Narrow and small, the slit window belonged in a castle. It was tinted with blue theatrical lighting gel with a tiny hole cut in to allow you to peer outside. Finn looked down over the entire Magic Kingdom. The view took his breath away. They were very high up.
Welcome to Walt's secret hideaway.
3 phones hung from the wall, red, blue, and yellow. Philby studied them.
Never touch any of those.
Charlene peered out the small hole in the window.
Beautiful.
That led to each of the kids taking a turn. Ooh. Ah. Wayne waited for them to face him. It was a small apartment with barely enough room for the 6 of them.
You were each picked for a reason, or you wouldn't be here. Our selections of the DHIs was careful to the point of painstaking. We've brought you here to help us. I'm gonna share a story with you. A fable. It's something that has been in my care a long time. Walt entrusted me with this, and it has been in my head ever since. All fables have names. This one is called the Stonecutter, and as it turns out, has been around for a few thousand years. But take note, Walt called it the Stonecutter's Quill. It's up to you to find out why he added Quill to the name. But here's the story. I believe it to be the key to stopping the forces that are gathering.
The kids looked for places to sit. Willa took a chair. Charlene and Philby the couch. Maybeck sat on the floor. Finn stood. No one said a word. Wayne had their full attention.
It was a hot, sweltering day, and the Stonecutter balanced on his haunches, chisel and hammer in hand, streams of sweat running down his back as he broke bits of rock away from the base of a wall of stone. It was hard, blistering work, and it felt like the sun had no mercy for him. How wonderful it must be to have the power of the sun, he thought. If I were the sun, no one could resist me. I wish I was the sun. In an instant, he found himself looking down on the earth, beating on it with his heat and energy. He was the sun, and he liked the way he touched everything and everyone without mercy. In his presence, people would be thirsty, they would be hot, and they would always know he was there. Suddenly he realized there was something impeding him. He could not touch the earth with his power. He looked down and saw that a cloud had interposed itself between. He thought, in spite of my great power, there is something that thwarts me. Surely this cloud is mightier than I am. I wish I were the cloud. And in an instant he found he was the cloud, and he could block the sun all day long. What's more, he could rain on those below him, bringing cold, eroding buildings, drowning what he pleased. Surely there was nothing more powerful than he was now. But he felt himself being swayed and quiet without his consent. He was being pushed, and he could not resist the movement. He found that the wind was blowing him to the side, and he saw that because he could not defy it, it was mightier than him. How I wish I was the wind, he thought. And there he was. Where he blew, huge trees bent. He could push great walls of water where he pleased. He could topple the tallest, most majestic buildings. Surely he was all-powerful now, but as he swept across the world, he came across something that stopped him. He looked and realized that the mountain before him could not be penetrated. As hard as he might blow against it, he could not push it to the side. Look at how it resists me, he thought. Surely this mountain is mightier than me. I wish I were the mountain. And he was. He sat imperial and bold, tall and proud, bolted to the earth, and he knew that there was nothing in all the world that could destroy him or overcome him. He was the mightiest thing of all. But then he realized something. From somewhere far below, he felt he was being reduced. He was being destroyed, torn apart, quite against his wishes, and he could do nothing about it. What is there mightier than a mountain, he asked himself. Not the sun, the cloud, or the wind. What could it be? With great effort, he looked down, and there, far below, at his very base, he saw Stonecutter.
The kids said nothing, focused on Wayne expectantly.
The things in the story you need to focus on are the sun, cloud, wind, and stone. At least we're pretty sure about that. Note the order. All four of these themes are seen repeatedly in the Magic Kingdom. Somehow they are meant to lead us to a solution, a way to defeat the darker powers that have begun to threaten the park. Comments?
He reminded Finn of an English teacher.
Be careful what you wish for. That's the theme, isn't it?
It also says to be satisfied with who you are.
Not to mention that no matter how strong you think you are, there's always something stronger.
So it's about power. It's a study of power.
Walt told me that story and then said something I'll never forget. He said, I have plans for this place, and that should put things in perspective, Wayne. And there was a twinkle in his eye. There was something more to it than he was letting on. At least that's been my opinion all these years.
But what?
I have plans for this place. That should put things in perspective.
And we're supposed to figure out why he called it the Stonecutter's Quill?
Yes, it's up to the 5 of you to solve the fable. Others have tried before you, myself included, but to no avail. As matters grew more urgent, we came up with the idea of the DHIs. You have 1 foot in the character world, 1 foot in the real world. We need not only to solve whatever the fable is supposed to tell us, but we need to apprehend and stop the overtakers responsible for our recent problems.
And we're the chosen ones.
Indeed you are, very carefully chosen at that. Intelligence, athleticism, computer knowledge.
What if we don't want to be chosen?
There's not much of a choice. We're going to cross over when we go to sleep.
But that must be your doing.
Willa accused Wayne. The old man looked back impassively. For a moment, it seemed he might refuse to answer.
What are we up against?
You know how you can sometimes sense a storm before it even rains? You can almost smell it? Whatever is happening to this place is like that. We know it's coming. Bad things have been happening, but worse things are on their way. We're powerless to do anything about them. You are not. You five can change it.
Maybeck snorted.
What if there isn't enough time?
He won Wayne's attention.
This afternoon we all kind of fainted, all of us, right at the same time, and all in completely different locations.
Wayne's face wrinkled in concern.
Was this sometime after 2 o'clock?
How would you know that?
The DHI's here in the park. They went down for a few minutes this afternoon. Something to do with the computer server. Maybeck?
Maybeck shied from the summons.
That's right, you're a computer freak, aren't you, Maybeck?
Freak? I'm freaking good with them if that's what you're asking.
If we're able to cross over at night, and we certainly are, then maybe if something happens to the DHIs during the day, it also happens to us.
I think you'd better hurry. Once the Overtakers realize you intend to help us, that you're here to stop them, I believe they'll do whatever they can to stop you first. Maybe your fainting is the result of their dark powers. If they can stop you from crossing over, we're defeated. Fear is one way to stop you. This is new ground for all of us.
Finn felt a chill run down his spine.
Walt was an artist, an animator. He drew things. You draw things with pencils and pens, quills.
Yes, we've gotten that far as well.
So the solution to the fable has something to do with that. A pen, a pencil, a quill.
Just as we've thought these many years. But what is it exactly and where to find it? We have no idea.
What do you mean by dark powers? Some kind of magic?
What puts us in a bad mood when just a minute before we don't feel so good? What makes us afraid of the dark when we know perfectly well there's nothing bad out there? What explains that sometimes we think of a person and 2 seconds later the phone rings and it's the same person calling us? Not all forces have to do with hats and rabbits. There are forces bigger than all of us, good and bad. Good luck.
He pushed a circular metal plate embossed with the silhouette of Mickey Mouse. A panel in the floor opened up beneath him. Wayne fell through and disappeared. Finn jumped up, ahead of the others. The floor was solid again. Wayne was gone. Sitting on the coffee table in the center of the room was what looked like a small black garage door opener with a single red button. Wayne had used it to send him back to his bed on his earlier visits. Finn pointed it out to the others to see.
Well, I guess that's it. So who's in? Who's up for solving the Stonecutter fable?
One by one, the other DHIs tentatively lifted their hands. They had accepted Wayne's challenge.
Philby and Willa will work to connect the fable to the Magic Kingdom. There has to be something we're supposed to do with the story. Maybeck will find out as much as he can about the DHI servers and what we might be able to do to protect them. To protect us. Charlene and I will study up on Walt Disney. Why he might have picked the Stonecutter's fable, what's with the quill, and anything else we can find out. Sound okay?
No one disagreed. Finn was the acknowledged leader.
I doubt this button is going to cross over with me. It'll remain here.
My guess, it's a proximity thing. Like the dialogue bubbles in VMK. You have to be near when it's pushed in order to go back. So if you're ever in trouble, get up to this room and push this button.
Okay.
Everyone nodded. Finn indicated the black fob with the red button. They all gathered close together.
It might be smart to hold hands.
The kids looked anxiously and apprehensively among themselves.
It wouldn't be good to get left behind.
They grabbed each other's hands immediately, forming a circle. Willa took Finn's right forearm, freeing his hand to reach down and press the button. The world went dark.